It's the 2nd of March 2025. I'm Gary Waterman, a former UK police constable. I was going to do part 2 in the last video in relation to research of Donald Trump on the Stargate project, but I've kept that separate. So we're now going to look at the document for Donald Trump now on the Stargate project. We're on page 12. I just want to have a look at this again because somebody has reminded me of this, and that is the connection between Sam DeRaya and the company I was removed from that I mentioned in part 1, but also I forgot to mention that there is a company called Mishcon DeRaya, a solicitor's firm. I suspect that is going to be linked to this DeRaya family, and that legal firm is also massively implicated in the fraud, and I've shown that in other documents. Now, moving on with the evidence on to page 14, I believe we were looking at Oracle. This is one of the other companies where Donald Trump announced the Stargate project on the 21st of February 2025. So let's look at Oracle Corporation UK Limited on the right, which comes up and shows the company's house records. Please verify and corroborate this information to see that it is true. You can see that this company was created in 1984. That is 4 years after the Georgia Guidestones were erected, which is also relevant to all of this. So here's Oracle Corporation UK Limited. It appears to be a forged incorporation document within the filing history. You can see the lines missing around the box. Also on the bottom, can't read it very well, but it has Stanley Davis Group on it, which links throughout the fraud. And this just shows some of the examples from previous documents for Stanley Davis Group that I researched. And here it has a link to Carter & Coley, which is the accountants that was being used by Exborn Manor Freehold Limited to file the forged bank documents. On the right there, it makes link to the Sabre Fund Management. That then links into research regarding the special advisor for the last prime ministers for the United Kingdom, Douglas Dougie Smith, who started up fever sex parties, has been arrested for threats to kill, and according to Nadine Dorries, practices the dark arts. It also links through, you can see BCP there, that refers to Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council. That is the area where this all started and where Exborn Manor is based. Within the one of the directors now, that director of the company we were looking at here, I just found this quite interesting because you've got BAE Systems, which is one of the largest defence contractors in the United Kingdom. In fact, it is the largest. And here's BEA Systems. I just found that interesting. So back in within Oracle, director Simon Allison, of a date of birth of 1974, 3 years after the World Economic Forum started, and being a, what does it say he is? An MEA Senior Tax Director. He links to Oracle Corporation Nominees Limited. And when we go into that company on the right, you can see it was started in 1995. Well, that's very important because that is the same year that the Hackluit company was created, which I featured in my last video or the one before. And that is an intelligence agency company that links to the Russian government, the UK government via the Flemings to the Ukrainian government and international government fraud throughout. On the incorporation documents for this company that we're looking at, Jordans and Sons Limited. So that's a fraudulent criminal company again. And that company, Jordans and Sons, was created in 1965, the year before the foundation of the first Satanic Church. Now on the left, I have shown this in another video, we have within Oracle company, we have a Grania O'Toole from an address in Ireland. Remember, false details can be used by anyone. There's no verification deliberately by corporations. I'm not saying it's the same person, but a person called Grania in Ireland was trying to get me to buy into David Emery, who was talking about aliens, okay, and also supporting artificial intelligence. Now that ties in with evidence that we're going to look at in a minute. And you can see this person was appointed on the 23rd of October 2024, fairly recently. Going further, we can see Alan Lang, and Alan Lang links to, among other companies, the Gala Film Partnership on the right there. This has featured throughout the fraud. The Gala Film Partners, LLP. So we've gone into that company, okay, the Gala company. And you can see that this person on the left, Aitken, okay, then links to Schroeder Income Growth Fund PLC. Now, some of you may know about this company. It's featured in the fraud fairly significantly from important points, and they were appointed to it in 2023. But it's important because Thomas Kingston was linked to that that company. And here's the article on the left talking about Thomas Kingston, the husband of Prince and Princess Michael of Kent's daughter, Lady Gabriella, died from a head injury at his parents' home in the Cotswolds on the 25th of February. This was 2024, as I'm exposing the fraud. A gun was found near his body. The inquest into his death was told Mr. Kingston had stopped taking medication in the days leading up to his deaths. And here it confirms that he worked for Schroders, and articles from February. You can see Schroders in the articles there, asset management. Okay, he also is linked to the Middle East, there's huge connections to the Middle East in relation to all of this. And most people have been deceived, okay? Within the Gala company on the left, you can see that Alan Beck, or on the right there, links to Jewish companies. Okay, you've got various Jewish companies. I've just shown some of them. The London School of Jewish Studies on the left. The evidence suggests that they're not real Jews involved in this, and there's a satanic cult behind all of this, it appears. And they link to Ingenious Film Partners. Now that, wherever you research the fraud, you come in from whatever angle, that then links to the Ingenious Film companies. All right, so we haven't come very far at all. We also then hit Trans World Group Limited. Okay, now this is very important, and I'm going to go to my other document, my Julian Assange document, to show why Trans World Group is so important. This is my Julian Assange document, the first pages. And slightly further down, there's correspondence. On the day that I believe Julian Assange is released, I get sent information putting me in contact with Stella Assange, who is the wife of Julian Assange. And they tried drawing me in to believe in Julian Assange, and from doing so, to then believe in Donald Trump. Within the correspondence, they also tried to convince me to stop talking about adrenochrome. This then makes ties with the rapid response via Trevor Meelam, who was the person that suggested I was in contact with this person. It then makes links to the Hampstead child abuse inquiry, which is a very sinister case, if you haven't seen it, about two children being sexually abused and raped, but also being made to take place in the murder of children. Around the same time, this is where it's important, I receive an email that is from an MP for Reform trying to get me to believe in Julian Assange, which ties to Donald Trump. And this was written, according to the article, by David Sorensen. I don't know how well you can see that. David Sorensen, Stop World Control. Further down on page 265 of the document, this shows David Sorensen appearing to have been an aide of Donald Trump. Here's a news article dated February 2018. And it says David Sorensen becomes second Trump aide to quit over abuse claims. His wife had made abuse allegations. Also on the right, another aide for Donald Trump, 2 weeks earlier, I believe, or very close, also resigned after allegations against him by his wife. The next page, research surrounding David Sorensen, and it appears to be the same person on LinkedIn, then makes connections to Trans World. The research from David Sorensen then links to Exborn Manor Freehold Limited. It's the CBD companies. Fraud throughout. Many of the companies that were used as the criminal fraudulent fronts that are now dissolving. York Place Company Services. York Place Company Nominees. Company Registration Limited. At UK PLC. Client Director Limited, which links to Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited. Hanover Company Services, all dissolving as I'm exposing the fraud. The Brighton Formation Services. This director then links to Form 10. Company directors, again, all massive fronts for the fraud. Barbara Cahan links to the Ham and High article, Finchley Road fraud. Go and look at it. You can verify all of this. Remember, this is the government's own registration system. The evidence is there. It gets no better than this evidence, everybody. Juice truce. Another word for adrenochrome is juice. Hallmark, Stanley Davis, we've already mentioned them. 2012 Sports Limited. This then makes links to the rapid response teams companies, and then to my dad's adoptive family in Kent. Completely separate locations. You then have Global Bunkering and Trading Limited. Climate Change. Tiny Tots, Soft Play, fraud throughout pizza companies. I'll let you know why that may be. David Sorensen, another record for him, then links to, as I've said, CBD. YR Health Limited, so we know it's him because that's on his LinkedIn. Greenways Capital Limited. Global Dating Limited companies. This then goes into Southern Property Developments, Lagoon Estates, and then into Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited via the managing agent, Owens and Porter. You can see the address on the right. It's the same address as theirs. Fraud throughout. And there you have Owens and Porter and Stephen Owens. If you look on Exbourne Manor Freehold Limited, as I'm showing here, you will see that I'm on there as a director, and they removed me, remember, and Stephen Owens is also on there. And here's some emails, correspondence that I had with Stephen Owens when I was trying to establish what was happening within the company. Little did I know where it would lead. Transworld Research links to Russia. Transworld. Remember, you have the Baphomet is a transgender symbol linking to the Satanic Church in all of this. And the Baphomet appears to be a very important symbol to these people. And here's Transworld Companies. Talks about the history. It ties in with Russia. Of course, they're not openly saying it's to do with transgenderism. But when you look at all of the evidence, it suggests that it very likely does refer to it. Buckingham Palace Road Limited, okay, coming from Transworld. Appointed December 2001. 3 months after the World Trade Center disaster, which is massively part of all of this. Fraud throughout. Football clubs then. Football clubs are massively implicated in this. That enables them to launder money. And then Dorset Shipping Limited. Remember, we're talking about international child trafficking. And then Jewish companies feature again. This is all from the Transworld Research. And then you make links to Ingenious Film Partners again. Another Transworld company. Registered as the fraud is being exposed. Remember, there's dissolutions and companies being created as this happens, so they can move the assets and their money around as they panic, centralizing it, putting it all into their appropriate preparations. This is interesting company here. This one is AXA ICUS Occupational Health Services. Started in 1977, the year I was born, and dissolved in August 2024. You then have links to Australia. Remember, this is international government fraud. It's not just the UK. I think you've got the idea. Japan companies, again, fraud throughout. Independent Schools Football Association, the Football Association Limited. This is all coming from Transworld. HMC, okay, this ties to the head teachers. On the left, you can see Jordan's and Sons Limited, bottom left. then to the schools, headmasters association, etc. Well, let's go back to the Donald Trump document. Back in on the right there into the Gala company, we have Stephen Conn, links to Begbie's trainer. That's already featured throughout the fraud. And you can see here, Begbie Trainers talks about it. Until 1997, it was known as Trainer and Partners, is a firm specializing in corporate restructuring. They were formed in 1989, expanded through mergers and organic growth, and were floated in 2004, 3 years after the World Trade Center disaster. And further down, you'll see that some of their projects involved football clubs, and specifically AFC Bournemouth and Southampton. AFC Bournemouth is where Tony Roberts, who resigned from Exmoor Manor Freehold Limited, worked for. Interestingly, you can also see on here Wrexham Football Club, which is what Ryan Reynolds was involved in. And Ryan Reynolds is obviously linked to Hollywood, which then links into the Flemings. And Ryan Reynolds, as the fraud was being exposed, sold his part of Wrexham Football Club, along with his partner in it. This person on the right within the Gala company then connects to Credit Suisse. That already features throughout the fraud and links to the World Trade Center disaster. They were one of the tenants in the World Trade Center at the time, according to the research. Richard Hardy on the right within the Gala company links to Ingenious Film Partners 2 LLP, exactly the same company that ties in all of the research coming in from whatever angle that I've come in from in relation to the fraud. And remember, I'm coming in from specific individuals or incidents, including child trafficking and child murders and abuse and torture, and you hit this company whichever way you come in. And of course, this will tie in with Hollywood and everything that we're seeing going on in Hollywood at the moment, the Jeffrey Epstein list, the P. Diddy case, but they'll be using it to destroy evidence. Here we have the Royal National Theatre linking in. That features throughout. Fraudulent company linking in with the Royals. We then have Capita Justice and Secure Services Holdings Limited. Okay, linking from Christopher Baker within Oracle. Okay, so we're back to the Oracle company. You can see it at the top there. Oracle. Here's Capita Justice and Secure Services Holdings Limited. It links to the fraud immediately by the address, 1 More London Place. That features throughout. And here you can see a name change. The last, second to last name change was in 2012, which is when the God particle Higgs boson was supposedly discovered, and then they changed it again in 2014. And we're going to come to 2012 in another video and how that ties in with Derren Brown and mass experimentation and hypnosis potentially, and deception on humanity in relation to apocalyptic events. Within Oracle, Samuel Kingston connects to Elite Incident Management Limited. Remember, this is all coming from the Stargate project. We're not far away at all. There's over 5 million registered companies, and we're already got some fraud. Well, there's fraud throughout. This company, Elite Repair Services, was its original name on the bottom right here. Started in 1992. Look when they last changed their name, in April 2001, the year of the World Trade Center disaster. It appears on the incorporation document for it that it's a forged document. You can see here, not very clear, but it appears as though they've covered over the directors and secretaries where they're panicking and changing the names, because you can see the start of the lines that would normally go right across this page, but all the lines are faded or disappeared, but the writing is very, very clear. That suggests it's potentially a forged document. You can see other examples of that here on these following pages. Back into the same director, links to Santander UK Operations Limited. This then ties in with the Flemings, because their offshore company is Cater Allen. And when you look at CAPB Limited, it was started in 1932. Its original company name was Robert Fleming Co. Limited, I think. That was in 1932. It then changed its name in July 2001, which is the same month that Larry Silverstein purchased the lease for the World Trade Center building, and it changed its name to CA. That stands for Cater Allen, which then ties in with Santander. And here you can see the different company name changes for this one. Started in January 2001, changed in March, changed in April again 2001, and then changed its name after the World Trade Center disaster 6 years later, removed Abbey National and changed it to something else. And it's linked to, remember, this is a bank we're talking about, Jordan's Limited, a fraudulent entity company. Go and look at Vistra Limited. You'll see that it had a previous name of Jordan's Limited. Look on the incorporation document and you'll see it's criminal. It's Hammerplag Limited. That's never been registered. And this is Santander, a bank we're talking about. Now, I've got complaints being raised with them. They are refusing to resolve the complaint. They still hold money. They should be paying back all direct debits now by the direct debit guarantee. They are refusing to do that, and therefore they're committing criminal offences now by holding the money from those direct debits, going against their own direct debit guarantee. That then becomes a crime because they have to release it immediately and then prove to you that it's not as a result of crime. So that is a vast amount of money they've now stolen, and all of you will be stolen from in the same way now. You need to demand your money back from all direct debits. So here is Santander. Again, Mark Clark links to the British Chambers of Commerce. Here's that company. Very old company, started in 1875. Suddenly changed their name 5 years before the World Trade Center disaster, the year after the Hakluyt company was created. Okay, the one that links the intelligence agencies to the Russian government and the international fraud to the royal family, etc. And it's a criminal, fraudulent entity company. Remember, British Chamber of Commerce, not just one Chamber of Commerce, one area. British Chamber of Commerce, Association of Chamber of Commerce of the United Kingdom. Criminal, fraudulent entity company, never been registered lawfully, should never have even been operating. They then link in via the Santander company. We then find links to the Royal Naval and Royal Marines Company, EYP Mission Critical Facilities. So remember, this is all from the Oracle company that's part of the Stargate project, and we're not far away at all, because what we're doing is going back into companies. Okay, so we're very, very close indeed. Here you have a link to Hewlett Packard Limited. Those of you who've seen my research in relation to the DVLA, or the Driver Vehicle Licensing Agency, that registers all of your details, links into Hewlett Packard, that purchased the company that created that register, called Electronic Data Systems. Okay, they purchased Electronic Data Systems in 2008. And now they are hiding the company details for Electronic Data Systems. There's been various calls that I've put into the DVLA. I've also now established that all insurance companies appear to be implicated in this fraud and centralised. That means nobody can actually morally, ethically and legally now tax their vehicles or insure their vehicles without facilitating international crime causing suffering to humanity and children. It's completely satanic. On the right here, another good element to show that it's satanic, Spirit Guide Limited. Okay, this is featured before. And talking of Electronic Data Systems, here is the very company now tying in from that, EDS, Electronic Data Systems. Now, there's a call that I've made to the DVLA more recently. I'm going to publicise that soon, and I've asked them to put a marker on my vehicle because I cannot now tax and insure my vehicle until there is a safeguarded system in place, so we know that that money is not being used by crime. On the right, back into Oracle, we've got Mark Pickett, and Mark Pickett then links into various X companies. On the right, you can see Exchanging Holdco, Expanse, Exchanging Global Insurance. I suspect this ties in with Elon Musk, with Exchanging Technology, Exchanging Resources. I've just shown some of them here, okay? Within the people record, again, Michael Powell links to Price Waterhouse Coopers. Well, they already linked to the World Trade Center disaster very significantly on that, and you can look at the World Trade Center disaster document that I've created, but here's just showing previous research. Then ties in with the Maxwells, fraudulent entity companies, linking to Jordan's, Bournemouth, Christchurch and Paul Council again. Within that same director, you have Belmore Lodge in Bournemouth Limited. Lodge, bearing in mind we're talking about Freemasons. Okay, I don't know that that is a Freemason lodge, but it was incorporated in 1971, the year that the World Economic Forum was started, and links to Germany and transgenderism via the Baphomet and the links to the Satanic Church. On the incorporation document, you have Jordans and Sons. It's not very clear on here, but when you look at the document, you'll see it. You can go and check it yourself. All of this you can verify. Okay, go if you don't have to trust me. There's been people saying, Gary, you just wanted. Not about me at all. I've been trying to get other people to use this evidence and produce it. I've done a guide. Okay, we need more people doing it, but I appear to be the only one. So at the moment, it has to be, it seems, about me to produce the evidence and try and save humanity in the world and the children. Now, this links in via that Belmore company to Caroline Kellaway, who we've already looked at in this video, I believe. And that then links into Exbourne Manor Freehold. And one of the directors, Douglas Bannon, who was trying to get me to ensure that we employed another management company after Owens and Porter resigned, that was part of the ARMA Association, or the Association of Residential Management Agents, which is linked into the fraud and the crime, and then ties in closely with the Association of Chief Constables in the United Kingdom. You then have, via this director, we're still in Oracle. Okay, we haven't gone far. We're still within the Oracle company. Remember, this links to Stargate, Donald Trump's Stargate, UK-India Business Council. That's already featured in the fraud. So this is international, guys. Okay, you've got India involved in it as well. We're in collaboration with the UK. Okay, they've all jumped on board. Remember, it links to the taxation system. On the incorporation document, you can't see it very well. It's Olswang. Olswang ties in with Donald Trump, that you'll see when I do the other document, via his golf clubs. That company then ties in with Jimmy Savile, in with the Freemasons, and a case of actual child murder and abuse towards children, and then linking into the royal family, which is shown on my directed energy threat document. This is all to do with the threat of directed energy within the mosques. They need to be taken down, everybody. All right? Immediately. Go and take these things down. You're justified in doing it. Save yourselves, saves your family. Okay, it's very clear that these masks they've put up, they've been rushing to put up, where there's no accountability through this fraud, are being put there for very sinister satanic means against humanity. All tying in with the Stargate project. So, within the Oracle company, Jeffrey Squire links to, now I found this very interesting. Okay, bearing in mind what I was talking about in part 1, the satanic artificial intelligence takeover. And now we have the worshipful company of information technologists worshipping. I mean, this is just satanic. Artificial intelligence ties in with this. That in itself is satanic. It's false artificial intelligence with no moral conscience, because the people who have created it have no moral conscience. So if they're trying to get artificial intelligence to be driving the decisions moving forward, then that means they're going to try and remove artificial moral conscience and a rational state of mind, which is there to protect humanity, everybody. The worshipful company of information technology. It's unbelievable. Right, and on the incorporation document, you have, can't read it very clearly on this document because I'm showing it on the video, but it's Pinsent Masons. That links again to Exbourne Manor and to the World Trade Center research, okay? To the management company that is there now. Okay, Property Solutions Southern Limited with Paul Mallory. It was clear that he was involved in this when I was trying to hold meetings to remove the directors. He became so nervous, I knew, because he left a cable after this meeting. There was a projector used in his laptop, and he left the cable, and I could tell he was incredibly nervous because he knew, I believe he knew what he was part of. And here we have the Innovation Group Limited, which links into it, and it appears to be a fraudulent entity company. Forged document. You can see the boxes are missing. Waterloo, again, ties in with the Freemasons. And I found the original name quite interesting. Bearing in mind, we're talking about satanic elements. And now I have to consider, we do have to talk about black magic and stuff like that, and this is going to tie in with Darren Brown and hypnotism and potential mass deception on the world in relation to apocalyptic events. And now we have Merlin Ace Limited. Interesting. Merlin was obviously a wizard. We have the Leaders Institute now within that same director. Here's the Leaders Institute. And they were called the Institute of Leadership from 1998, 3 years before the World Trade Center disaster, until July 2019, the year of the outbreak. On the incorporation document, Howard Thomas is shown, and that name is used throughout the fraud. I suspect it's a false name or stolen identity. Every now and then you'll find a name where there's thousands of companies linked to it, and this is one of those examples. Over 7,000, nearly 8,000 companies. Back into that leadership company, then we have Health Innovation Wessex Limited. Now, Deborah Fleming, who called the meeting to have him removed from Exmoor Manor, links to Wessex companies. And you can see the address where she was an NHS chief executive in charge of a £700 million budget and 10,000 staff. Southampton, that's in Hampshire, okay, where she was the NHS chief executive for Dorset, Hampshire and Isle of Wight. Health Innovation Wessex Limited here. You can see the company name. They changed it as I was exposing the fraud in May 2024, even though the name had not changed for 10 years. On the incorporation document, it links to Bevan Britain Limited. You can't see that very well, but Bevan Britain then ties in with Bournemouth, Christchurch and Poole Council and the research surrounding them. It's a legal firm. Now, this is incredibly important. That same director that we were looking at now links to JP Morgan Elect PLC. This then, if you watch my last couple of videos, you'll see makes the link to the Russian government. There would have been others. There's already others, as we've mentioned, but this is a very clear link when you look at JP Morgan Elect PLC and go in through the research of that on the Rishi Sunak document. You'll see they were trying to remove the word Russia. But here you can see the Fleming name within it. And obviously the Flemings called the meeting to remove me. Now let's go to SoftBank. Okay, so we've done Oracle, we've done OpenAI. These were two of the four companies involved in publicising the Stargate project with Donald Trump. In fact, we're going to come to SoftBank on part 3 of the video. Thanks very much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.